Once upon a time, in a bustling town painted with the colors of laughter and struggle, Lila ran through the narrow dusty streets, her heart pounding with both fear and excitement. She clutched a crumpled letter in her hand, a letter that promised a life she had always dreamed of but had never dared to chase. The sun dipped low, casting golden shadows on the walls of worn shops and ramshackle houses. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to follow this story and comment where you're watching from and what time it is over there. Lila paused at the corner, glancing back at the small, humble house where her husband waited, unaware that his world was about to unravel. Her decision was a knife's edge, exciting, terrifying, and irreversible. Every step toward the rich man's mansion felt heavier, as though the dusty road itself tried to pull her back to the life she once knew. Lila's husband, James, sat on their worn wooden chair, polishing a small brass lamp that had been in his family for generations. He hummed softly, oblivious to the storm brewing beyond the walls of their home. His love for Lila was deep, quiet, and unwavering, but he had never been able to give her the wealth or glamour she secretly craved. Outside, the wind carried whispers of the town, and birds scattered in alarm as if sensing the upheaval in Lila's heart. James paused, sensing something amiss, but he shook off the feeling, returning to his lamp, unaware that the life he held so dear was slipping from his fingers. At the edge of town, in a sprawling estate with iron gates and polished marble floors, Richard leaned over a grand desk littered with papers. His expensive suit smelled of new leather, and the scent of power seemed to cling to him. When Lila's name was mentioned by a distant relative as someone who might be refined enough to join his social circle, his interest piqued instantly. He had everything he could desire: money, influence, and charm, but he craved someone who would admire him for more than his wealth. As fate would have it, their paths were about to cross under circumstances neither could fully control, yet both would pretend it was all by choice. Lila arrived at the estate, her heart thundering as the massive gates opened before her. Every detail screamed luxury: fountains spouting crystal water, manicured gardens, and servants moving with quiet efficiency. Richard was waiting in a sunlit hallway, tall and imposing, yet his eyes softened when he saw her hesitation. "Welcome, Lila," he said, his voice a mix of authority and curiosity. Lila forced a smile, feeling both excitement and unease, knowing she had just stepped into a world where love was measured differently, where gestures were grand, but hearts could be fragile. Back in the small town, James walked to the market, his mind unsettled. He bought vegetables and bread as if trying to anchor himself to normalcy, yet every face in the crowd seemed to echo Lila's absence. A mother with a child, a shopkeeper laughing with a customer, he saw them all through a haze of longing. The town's rhythm, once comforting, now felt like a reminder of what he was losing. He wondered silently if love alone could survive when ambition and desire pulled hearts in opposite directions. Lila's evenings in Richard's mansion were filled with glittering parties and conversations about wealth, ambition, and power. Guests admired her elegance, her poise, and her charm. She felt a heady rush being noticed, envied, and adored. But late at night, when the laughter faded and the rooms grew quiet, she lay in a luxurious bed wondering if her heart truly belonged there. The walls of marble and gold couldn't muffle the pangs of guilt that tugged at her conscience. Richard slept beside her, unaware of the war raging in her soul. James, meanwhile, spent his nights under the dim glow of a kerosene lamp, writing letters he would never send. Words poured out of him like rivers, pleas, confessions, and quiet prayers for Lila's safety and happiness. He remembered her laughter, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear, the warmth of her hand in his. Each memory was a blade of both comfort and pain. The townsfolk whispered about Lila's choices, some scolding, others admiring her courage, but none truly understanding the cost of her decisions. Weeks passed, and Lila began to notice cracks in the facade of wealth. Richard, for all his charm, was distant in his affections, calculating in his attention, and prone to moments of cold indifference. Parties lost their luster, and compliments felt hollow. One evening, she watched him from a balcony, the city lights sparkling below, and wondered if the riches she chased could ever replace the warmth she left behind. The mansion felt like a gilded cage, and the shadows on the marble floor seemed to whisper truths she wasn't ready to face. In a quiet alley of the town, James encountered an old friend who offered a listening ear and shared tales of resilience and love that outlasted hardships. Sometimes, the friend said softly, "What we think we want isn't what will save us. And what we leave behind might be the only thing keeping us alive." James nodded, absorbing the wisdom, feeling a small spark of hope. Perhaps one day, Lila would see that riches could never buy what their hearts already knew. One rainy afternoon, Lila stood by the grand window of Richard's mansion, watching droplets race each other down the glass. Her mind wandered to James, to the humble home she had abandoned, to the life she had thought was insufficient. She realized that every smile from the wealthy guest, every compliment, every toast of admiration, felt empty without love and warmth. Her chest tightened with regret, a storm of realization she had never anticipated. The rain outside mirrored the turbulence within her, cleansing yet unforgiving. Late that night, Richard's phone rang with urgent news of a failing business deal. He stormed through the halls, angry and demanding, and Lila watched from the shadows, feeling powerless in a world she had once believed would give her control. The weight of choices, the price of ambition, and the emptiness of wealth pressed on her like the heavy curtains that blocked the moonlight. She realized that every step she had taken away from James had led her to a place of isolation, and that the lesson life had for her was only beginning. The next morning, Lila wandered through the mansion's gardens, the scent of blooming flowers unable to mask the bitterness that had settled in her chest. Servants moved around her with quiet efficiency, yet no one noticed the tremor in her hands or the vacant stare in her eyes. A soft breeze carried the distant sound of children playing in the town she had left behind, and her heart ached with a longing she had tried to bury. The opulence surrounding her felt hollow, and for the first time, she questioned the path she had chosen. Every polished stone and sculpted fountain reminded her that money could build walls but never fill the heart. In the small town, James tended his modest garden, hands dirty with soil but his spirit slowly mending. He spoke to the plants as though they were old friends, whispering words of hope and forgiveness. "One day, Lila will understand," he murmured, "and maybe she will see what she lost." The simplicity of his life, the warmth of honest labor, and the laughter of neighbors around him painted a picture of contentment that no mansion could replicate. Even in absence, his love for Lila remained steadfast, a quiet anchor amidst the storm of regret. That evening, Richard hosted an extravagant gala, inviting the city's elite to celebrate another profitable venture. Lila moved among the guests, smiling, nodding, and sipping champagne, yet every laugh felt rehearsed, every compliment hollow. She noticed Richard speaking to a younger woman, their laughter intimate, and felt a pang of jealousy she hadn't anticipated. The realization hit her that wealth could attract admiration, but it couldn't secure loyalty or love. Her stomach twisted, and she excused herself, seeking the solitude of a balcony, where the cool night air offered a brief reprieve. Back in town, a rumor spread quickly. Lila's newfound wealth was built on superficial charm and borrowed smiles, and even the rich had begun to question her authenticity. Townsfolk whispered about her with a mixture of envy and pity, some shaking their heads, others simply sighing at the inevitable consequences of ambition untempered by heart. James heard the whispers but did not waver. He knew the woman he loved had made choices, but he also believed in the resilience of truth and the inevitability of life's lessons. Lila received a letter from James, though she hesitated before opening it. His handwriting was familiar, messy yet comforting, carrying the scent of home and memories she had tried to forget. The letter spoke not of anger or blame but of love, patience, and hope, urging her to reflect on her choices and the life she truly desired. Tears streamed down her face as she read, the words piercing through the gilded walls around her heart. For the first time in months, she felt the weight of longing and regret intertwine. The next day, Lila wandered through the mansion aimlessly, each room a monument to her vanity and misjudgment. She noticed Richard counting money, speaking with cold authority, and felt a disconnect she could no longer ignore. Luxury, she realized, could not replace respect, trust, or genuine affection. She recalled James' gentle hands, his quiet words, the laughter shared in their humble home, and a pang of realization stabbed through her chest. Life had taught her, subtly but relentlessly, that wealth alone could never bring happiness. One evening, during a power outage in the mansion, Lila found herself trapped in the grand library, surrounded by books she could barely read and knowledge she did not seek. The darkness mirrored her confusion, and she stumbled toward the window, gazing out at a city sparkling with lights that felt meaningless. She thought of James, of the simplicity she had scorned, and of the love that awaited her should she have the courage to return. The mansion felt suffocating, and the silence pressed down with a weight that money could never lift. Meanwhile, James hosted a small community gathering, helping neighbors and sharing a meal. The warmth of laughter, genuine gratitude, and shared stories created an atmosphere richer than any ballroom. A young girl danced in the dust, her laughter pure, and James smiled, feeling the pulse of life in its truest form. He whispered to himself, "This is enough. This is real." The contrast between his humble world and Lila's opulent isolation could not have been starker, yet he bore no bitterness, only hope that she would one day rediscover the heart she had abandoned. One fateful afternoon, Lila received a call. Richard's empire had crumbled overnight due to a scandal and betrayal among his closest associates. The walls of wealth that had seemed unshakable began to tremble, and panic spread in the mansion like wildfire. Lila stood frozen, the weight of consequences pressing down as servants whispered frantic updates. The life she had traded for comfort and status began to unravel before her eyes, and fear mingled with regret in a bitter taste she had never imagined. Lila ran through the mansion's halls, the echoes of her footsteps loud in the emptiness, realizing for the first time that security and admiration were fleeting, but love, true, unwavering love, was rare and priceless. Her mind flashed to James, the life she had left, the small house filled with laughter, warmth, and authenticity. Every regret surged like a wave, and she knew that the lesson life was teaching her was harsh yet clear: wealth could never replace the heart she had abandoned. She paused at the gates, the night wind carrying whispers of what truly mattered. That night, Lila packed her belongings in haste, her hands trembling as the reality of her choices hit with brutal clarity. The mansion, once a symbol of dreams realized, now felt like a prison built of illusions. She paused at the grand mirror in the hallway, staring at her reflection, a woman adorned in jewels and silk, yet hollow-eyed and broken. For the first time, she understood that her pursuit of wealth had cost her the most precious thing: love and trust. Tears streamed silently down her cheeks as she whispered to herself, "I must go back. I have to make this right." At dawn, Lila arrived at the small town, exhausted and disheveled, her opulent attire replaced by simple clothes she had packed in secret. The street smelled of earth and firewood, familiar and grounding. She walked past neighbors who stared curiously, whispers trailing in her wake. Some looked with pity, others with judgment, but Lila no longer cared. Her only concern was the modest house at the corner, where James might still wait. Each step carried a mix of hope and fear, knowing that forgiveness might not be immediate, yet longing for it was stronger than pride. James was in the garden, tending to a small patch of tomatoes, when he noticed a figure approaching. As the person drew closer, he froze, recognizing the familiar gait, the hesitant eyes, and the faint scent of a perfume he remembered. Lila stopped a few meters away, her gaze fixed on him, trembling with vulnerability. "James." She began, voice cracking under the weight of her emotions. The silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken truths, until James slowly set down the spade, walked forward, and held out his hand, a quiet question in his eyes: would she be ready to try again? They sat together on the wooden bench outside their small home, rain beginning to drizzle softly over the garden. Lila recounted her time with Richard, the empty parties, the hollow compliments, and the sudden collapse of wealth that left her powerless. Each word was tinged with guilt, remorse, and longing. James listened in silence, the wind rustling through the leaves, giving rhythm to the confessions. His heart ached for the woman he loved, for the mistakes she had made, yet he found himself quietly admiring her courage to return. The town seemed to hold its breath as news of Lila's return spread. Children paused mid-laugh, shopkeepers stopped in their walk, and neighbors exchanged knowing glances. Whispers grew, some questioning whether forgiveness was possible, others marveling at the strength it took to return. Lila, however, no longer sought validation from the town. Her focus was singular, on the man she had left and the chance to rebuild the life she had abandoned. The air around the modest home seemed to hum with anticipation, as though the universe itself awaited the reconciliation. James took Lila's hand, their fingers intertwining naturally, and spoke softly, "I have always loved you, Lila. Not for wealth, not for status, but for you. If your heart is willing, we can start again." Lila's eyes welled with tears, a mixture of relief, hope, and gratitude. In that simple gesture, she felt the first warmth of redemption, understanding that love given freely was far more powerful than anything material. The modest house, the garden, and the town seemed suddenly more vibrant, alive with possibility. As days passed, Lila worked to regain the trust of the townsfolk. She helped in the market, assisted neighbors with chores, and slowly began to weave herself back into the fabric of the community. Some were skeptical, others welcoming, but all witnessed a woman transformed, not by wealth, but by humility, remorse, and genuine effort. The lessons of her past echoed in every action. The pursuit of riches at the expense of love was a bitter path, and the path to redemption was one paved with patience and sincerity. One afternoon, James and Lila walked through the town square, hand in hand, feeling the rhythm of life that had once felt ordinary but now seemed precious. Children ran past them laughing, vendors called out greetings, and neighbors nodded approvingly. Lila smiled genuinely, no longer concerned with appearances or envy, but with the richness of human connection and the love she had reclaimed. The streets that had once seemed too small now felt infinite in the possibilities of a life rebuilt with care, trust, and devotion. Lila faced moments of doubt and temptation, but she leaned on James' unwavering presence and her own newfound clarity. The memory of her time with Richard, the hollow laughter, and the crumbling empire served as constant reminders of what she truly valued. Each day was a test, yet with every choice rooted in honesty and love, she felt her soul lighten. The mansion and its illusions faded from her memory, replaced by a deep understanding that fulfillment was found in relationships, community, and integrity, not in gold or glittering halls. One evening, as the sun dipped low over the town, James and Lila sat outside their modest home, sharing a meal of freshly cooked vegetables and bread. The air was fragrant with the smell of rain-soaked earth and warmth of shared labor. Lila looked at James, tears of gratitude glistening, and whispered, "I left thinking I needed more, but I realize now. I had everything I ever needed right here." James smiled, brushing her hair from her face, and replied softly, "Life has its lessons, Lila. I'm glad we learned them together." The town around them seemed to exhale, the simple scene more cinematic than any grand hall, filled with authenticity, love, and quiet triumph. Months passed, and Lila fully immersed herself in the rhythms of the small town, helping neighbors, tending to the garden, and learning the satisfaction of honest work. Each day, she felt lighter, her regrets tempered by purpose. The townsfolk began to embrace her return, seeing a woman transformed, not by wealth, but by humility, sincerity, and resilience. Children laughed around her, elders nodded approvingly, and the market buzzed with warmth. Lila understood now that life's true treasures were invisible to the eye, found in love, trust, and shared moments rather than gilded walls and shiny possessions. One rainy afternoon, as Lila and James repaired the roof of their modest home, a stranger arrived in town. He was a businessman, sharply dressed, and whispered promises of wealth and comfort to anyone who would listen. Lila felt a pang of old desire and temptation rise in her chest but quickly suppressed it, remembering the lessons that had cost her so dearly. James noticed her hesitation but only smiled gently, trusting her newfound wisdom. The town, a living testament to patience and loyalty, seemed to hold its breath as choices were tested once again. That evening, Lila visited the small chapel in the town square, seeking solace and clarity. The familiar scent of candles and incense calmed her, and she knelt, whispering apologies to God and her own conscience. She reflected on the fleeting nature of wealth, the hollowness of status, and the enduring power of love. Outside, the town pulsed with life, yet inside, she found a quiet certainty. No glittering mansion or flattering smile could ever replace a heart that loved truly and a life rooted in authenticity. In the days that followed, Richard appeared in the news, ruined and alone. His empire collapsed completely, leaving him penniless and desperate. Lila read the headlines with a mixture of pity and relief. She realized that the man she had once pursued for wealth was a symbol of the emptiness that had nearly consumed her. The mansion, the parties, the flattery, all illusions, vanishing like smoke. She had escaped not just Richard, but the trap of chasing hollow dreams, returning instead to life, love, and community that could not be bought. James and Lila celebrated a quiet festival in the town square, lighting lanterns and sharing food with neighbors. Music floated on the warm evening air, laughter echoed, and children danced barefoot on the cobblestones. Lila smiled genuinely, feeling the pulse of life she had once ignored. She whispered to James, "I see now that happiness isn't something you chase, it's something you nurture." James nodded, his eyes reflecting pride and relief, knowing that the woman he loved had returned whole, wiser, and steadfast. One morning, as Lila walked through the garden, she noticed a young girl struggling with her books. She approached, offering help and encouragement, and felt a spark of purpose ignite. Teaching, mentoring, and guiding others became her new ambition, a path built not on wealth but on nurturing hearts and minds. Each interaction reminded her of James' patient love, the town's enduring support, and the value of integrity. Her life, once driven by desire for luxury, now blossomed with meaning that money could never buy. A quiet evening brought a visit from her mother, who had watched Lila's journey with concern. Sitting under the old baobab tree in their yard, Lila confessed her mistakes, her regrets, and the lessons she had learned. Her mother listened, eyes filled with understanding, and finally smiled. "Life is harsh, my child, but it teaches those willing to listen. You've returned stronger and wiser." Lila embraced her mother, feeling the warmth of forgiveness and the completeness of returning to the roots she had once left behind. As weeks turned into months, James and Lila rebuilt not only their home but their life together. They planted vegetables, repaired fences, and painted walls, each act a symbol of renewal. Lila no longer envied wealth or power, she found joy in creation, labor, and connection. The town watched, inspired, as love and perseverance outshone their allure of luxury. The lessons of the past echoed in every corner. Choices have consequences, but redemption is possible when humility and love guide the way. One evening, under a sky painted with stars, James and Lila sat on the porch, holding hands and listening to the distant hum of life in the town. Lila whispered, "I thought I needed riches, but all I ever needed was here." James squeezed her hand gently, replying, "And it's here that we'll stay, building what truly matters." The town around them glowed softly in the moonlight, a living testament to patience, forgiveness, and the enduring power of love over fleeting wealth. Years later, the story of Lila and James became a quiet legend in the town, a tale whispered to children about choices, love, and the cost of greed. Lila's journey from ambition to humility inspired those who face similar temptations, teaching them that the heart's true treasures cannot be bought. Richard remained a cautionary tale of lost fortune, while Lila and James thrived in simple contentment, their love deepened by trials, lessons, and unwavering faith in one another. Life, they discovered, had the power to teach, punish, and redeem all at once. One crisp morning, a traveling merchant arrived in the town, carrying exotic spices and silks. Lila watched him set up his store, curious, but she felt no longing for the lavishness he displayed. Instead, she offered him tea and a warm smile, striking up a conversation that was rich in connection rather than commerce. The merchant remarked on the vibrancy of the town and the love that seemed to flow naturally among its people. Lila realized that wealth could be shared in laughter, kindness, and community, far more satisfying than gold or jewels. James and Lila worked together to renovate the small schoolhouse, painting walls and repairing benches. Children ran around them, laughing, their faces smeared with paint and joy. Lila felt a profound sense of accomplishment, seeing tangible results of effort, care, and collaboration. She whispered to James, This is worth more than any mansion." He smiled, brushing her hair from her face, replying softly, "Happiness is in what we build together, not in what we inherit or buy." The lesson of simplicity and purpose was now ingrained in her very soul. One afternoon, a wealthy relative of Richard came to town, seeking Lila's forgiveness for past betrayals. Lila received them in her garden, offering a calm and composed demeanor. "We all make mistakes," she said, "but we can choose to learn and grow." The relative left humbled, remarking to others how Lila had transformed, not only in circumstance but in spirit. The town saw her as a symbol of resilience and wisdom, proof that even those who had lost their way could find the path back to authenticity. A sudden storm swept over the town one evening, lightning splitting the sky, and wind rattling windows. Lila and James secured their home and helped neighbors protect their belongings. Amid the chaos, Lila noticed the strength of community and the depth of human connection, realizing that love and unity could weather any storm, literal or metaphorical. She held James close, whispering, "No riches could prepare us for this, but together, we are enough." The storm passed, leaving the town refreshed and vibrant, much like Lila's renewed spirit. Weeks later, a celebration marked the town's harvest festival. Lila and James joined in, dancing barefoot in the mud with children, neighbors, and friends. Laughter filled the air, mingling with the scent of roasted corn and warm earth. Lila felt her heart swell with a gratitude she had never known in opulent halls or polished floors. Every step she took was rooted in authenticity, and every smile reflected genuine connection. Wealth could never recreate this depth, she realized. It existed only in hearts intertwined by love and shared experience. One morning, Lila found a letter tucked under her door. It was from Richard, begging for her help after his empire crumbled completely. She read the letter silently, feeling a pang of the past, yet her resolve was unshakable. She folded it carefully, placing it in a drawer. "I've learned my lesson," she whispered to herself. "Some bridges are not meant to be rebuilt." Her heart no longer craved the wealth and power she once chased, it now treasured the lessons of humility, the joy of simplicity, and the enduring strength of love. The seasons shifted, painting the town in vibrant hues of green, gold, and crimson. Lila and James worked their garden, tended to neighbors, and shared quiet evenings on the porch. Their home, modest yet full of warmth, radiated a peace that no palace could offer. Lila's heart, once restless and ambitious, now beat in harmony with the town and with James, grounded in purpose, love, and authentic happiness. Every sunset reminded her of the journey she had taken, the mistakes, the lessons, and the redemption that followed. One day, a young woman approached Lila, seeking guidance. She reminded Lila of herself years ago, filled with ambition, longing, and restlessness. Lila shared her story honestly, weaving in the trials, the heartbreak, and the lessons learned. "Wealth can be fleeting," she said, "but love, integrity, and community endure. Choose wisely what you pursue, for not all that glitters is gold." The young woman left inspired, carrying Lila's wisdom into the world, a testament to the power of experience and redemption. Evenings grew cooler, and the town gathered for storytelling under the old baobab tree. Lila and James joined, listening to tales of past generations, laughter, and wisdom. Lila felt a profound sense of belonging, realizing that life's richness was measured not in possessions but in connection, trust, and shared stories. The town's collective heartbeat reminded her daily of the beauty of living fully, humbly, and authentically. Her past mistakes were now teachers, and every action she took was guided by the lessons she had learned. Years later, a statue was erected in the town square, an anonymous gift celebrating resilience and love. Townsfolk whispered that it resembled Lila, not in exact likeness, but in spirit, a woman who had chased illusions, faced the consequences, and returned to build a life of authenticity and heart. Children pointed at the statue, elders nodded in approval, and Lila, standing hand in hand with James, smiled quietly, knowing that life had taught her its harshest lesson, yet gifted her the richest reward of awe, love, community, and inner peace. One crisp morning, as Lila tended to the garden, she noticed a stranger struggling to fix a broken cart near the edge of town. Without hesitation, she ran over, offering her hands and guidance. Together, they mended the wooden wheels, laughter mingling with the smell of fresh earth. The stranger thanked her profusely, remarking, "Kindness like yours is rare." Lila smiled, realizing that her wealth of spirit, grown from humility, love, and patience, was far more valuable than anything she had once chased. The town watched, quietly celebrating her transformation. That evening, James and Lila prepared a simple meal for a group of traveling villagers who had lost their supplies in a storm. As they served bread and stew, Lila felt an overwhelming sense of purpose. Her heart, once restless and greedy, now found joy in nurturing, helping, and giving without expectation. She whispered to James, "I finally understand what it means to be rich." James, smiling warmly, replied, "True wealth is never counted in coins, Lila, it's measured in love shared and hearts touched." One afternoon, a former colleague of Richard's arrived, boasting of wealth and power. He offered Lila positions, influence, and luxury, assuming she would leap at the chance. Lila listened politely, then shook her head. "I've learned the hard way," she said calmly. "I don't want riches that come at the cost of my soul or the people I love." The man stared, incredulous, as Lila walked away, her steps confident and free, unchained from ambition and hollow dreams. The town murmured their approval, inspired by her steadfast choice. During a festival celebrating the harvest, Lila danced among children, their laughter echoing like music across the dusty streets. James joined her, spinning her gently, their eyes locking with unspoken gratitude. For the first time in years, Lila felt truly alive, every smile, every step, every heartbeat infused with meaning. The world she had sought in the past seemed like a distant memory, pale compared to the warmth of shared joy and love. Around them, the town thrummed with life, celebrating more than crops, it celebrated hearts reunited with purpose. Late one night, as the stars glittered overhead, Lila sat with James on the porch, recounting her journey and the lessons she had learned. "I was blind," she whispered, chasing illusions while abandoning what truly mattered. "But life taught me, painfully, what I had been missing." James squeezed her hand, his eyes soft with understanding. "And you returned," he said, "braver and wiser. That is what matters." The night air held their words like a blessing, and Lila felt a serenity she had never known in palaces or gold-lined rooms. Weeks later, a group of neighboring villagers came seeking advice from Lila and James, hoping to learn how to rebuild after hardship. Lila shared not wealth or strategies for power, but wisdom about patience, love, and the value of community. The villagers listened intently, realizing that true success was not measured by money but by resilience, generosity, and bonds forged through honesty and care. Lila felt a deep satisfaction, knowing that her mistakes had transformed into lessons for others, rippling outward in unexpected ways. One morning, as Lila walked through the town square, she noticed a child crying over a lost kitten. She knelt, comforting the child, and together they searched until the kitten was found, safe and warm. The simple act brought tears of joy to her eyes, a reminder that fulfillment lay in acts of love, not grand gestures or opulence. James joined them, smiling, and Lila whispered, "I never thought I could feel so rich doing so little." The town, witnessing the scene, nodded quietly. True wealth was evident in every gesture of care. On a quiet afternoon, Lila received a letter from Richard, now destitute, seeking advice and assistance. She read it carefully, then folded it, her decision firm. "I cannot undo what was done," she said softly, "but I can live my life with integrity, and that must be enough." James nodded in agreement, proud of her unwavering commitment to her values. Lila realized that true redemption was not about repairing every wrong, but about living with honesty, humility, and love, shaping a future she could be proud of. During the following festival season, Lila and James were honored by the town for their contributions and resilience. Lanterns illuminated their faces, laughter surrounded them, and children ran gleefully through the streets. Lila felt a deep sense of fulfillment, recognizing that every challenge, heartbreak, and mistake had led her here, to a life rich in authenticity, love, and connection. The town cheered, celebrating not just their deeds, but the journey from mistakes to wisdom, from ambition to purpose. Years passed, and Lila and James watched the seasons change from the porch of their modest home. Their love, tempered by trials and strengthened by forgiveness, had become the foundation of a life filled with joy and peace. The town flourished around them, a living testament to lessons learned, hearts mended, and the power of choosing love over greed. Lila reflected on her journey, grateful for every mistake, every regret, and every lesson that had guided her back to the life she was always meant to live. The past was behind her, and the future shimmered with promise. One morning, as the sun painted the town in shades of gold, Lila walked through the streets, greeting neighbors with a warmth that had grown from years of reflection and effort. She noticed young couples, parents with children, and friends laughing together, and she realized how much life had changed around her and within her. The small town, once a place of simple survival, had become a canvas for love, kindness, and community, and she felt a profound sense of belonging that no wealth could have purchased. Lila and James spent quiet evenings together on their porch, sipping tea as the world around them settled into calm. Lila's eyes reflected the stars above, and she whispered softly, "I understand now, James. All I ever wanted was here with you, all along." James took her hand, holding it gently. "Life has a way of teaching us, Lila. The lessons may be harsh, but the reward is priceless." Together, they watched the moon rise, content in the knowledge that love and patience had restored what ambition once threatened to destroy. One afternoon, a festival of stories was held under the old baobab tree. Elders recounted tales of the town's history, and children listened wide-eyed, captivated by the wisdom of generations. Lila shared her own story, not with shame, but as a cautionary tale and a lesson in humility. "Life will test you," she told the gathered crowd, "but it is never too late to return to what matters most: love, integrity, and community." The town listened in awe, knowing that Lila's journey had transformed her into a living example of redemption. As seasons changed, Lila began mentoring young women in the town, teaching them to navigate ambition and desire with wisdom. She spoke of mistakes she had made, the allure of wealth, and the heartbreak of leaving behind true love. Her students listened intently, learning that dreams could be pursued without sacrificing integrity or connection. Lila's past, once a source of regret, had become a source of guidance and inspiration, rippling through the town and shaping future generations. James and Lila often walked side by side in the garden, planting vegetables and flowers, laughing together as they nurtured life from the soil. Every harvest became a celebration of growth, patience, and love. The simple acts of tending, watering, and nurturing reminded Lila that the richest life was one built through care, effort, and devotion to those you love. She had learned that happiness was not found in glittering halls but in the hearts and hands of those around you. One stormy night, lightning flashed across the sky, illuminating the town in brief bursts. Lila and James helped neighbors secure their homes and animals, working tirelessly until the storm passed. Lila felt the strength of human connection more deeply than ever, understanding that true wealth was measured in community, compassion, and courage. The rain washed over them, cleansing the past and renewing their commitment to each other and the life they had rebuilt. Years later, Lila and James celebrated the anniversary of her return with a small gathering in the town square. Lanterns lit the streets, music floated on the warm night air, and children ran freely, echoing laughter that filled every corner. Lila looked at James and whispered, "I almost lost everything chasing the wrong dreams. Now, I see that everything I truly needed was right here." James smiled, squeezing her hand, and together, we found it again. Their journey had come full circle, and the town rejoiced in their restored love and wisdom. Lila's story became a quiet legend, told and retold in the town for years to come. Parents shared it with their children, teaching them the value of humility, love, and patience. The tale of the woman who left for wealth and returned wiser became a reminder that life's lessons, though harsh, could guide even the most wayward hearts back to what truly mattered. Lila and James, once tested by ambition and desire, now embodied the triumph of love, integrity, and resilience. One peaceful morning, as Lila watched the sun rise over the town, she reflected on her journey. Every mistake, heartbreak, and moment of regret had led her to a life richer than any fortune could offer. She held James close, feeling the warmth of his hand and the steady beat of his heart. "We've been given a second chance," she said softly, "and this time, we will cherish it forever." James nodded, their hearts in unison, knowing that life's harshest lessons had become their greatest blessing. In the quiet twilight of their lives, Lila and James walked hand in hand through the town square, the laughter of children and the chatter of neighbors creating a living symphony around them. Lila smiled, knowing that she had learned the most important lesson of all: love, humility, and integrity could never be bought, only lived. And as the sun set, casting a golden glow over the town they had rebuilt together, Lila whispered to the wind, "Life taught me well, and I will never forget." Together, they disappeared into the embrace of their community, a testament to the enduring power of choice, love, and redemption.